Mhm.
It was great. Oh, okay.
Awesome. I'm gonna give it just like 30 more seconds in case anyone's showing up since we're still 4:59. But also, I apologize to the workout on Monday. I know I said that it was gonna be a light workout, and upon review, I was like, maybe that wasn't the lightest workout. So we will actually have a lighter workout today.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at people's faces at the end of the workout, and I was like, oh dear. I was looking at people's faces, and I was like, all right, maybe my interpretation of light workout needs some revision.
Yes, those Russian twists. No. Oh God.
All right,
Let's see.
it's 5 o'clock. So we are going to go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
As always, I'll lead stretching. I'll do all the counting just to make it easier with the virtual format, and just copy what I'm doing. So this will kind of be pretty much our standard stretching. If you have any requests of like a specific muscle you'd like to see added into the stretching, I'm totally open to it. But as of now, this is kind of the plan we're going with. So starting out with our quad stretches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And switch it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And behind your head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And across the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lunges starting with the dominant leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Battery
7,
70%.
8, 9, 10. And recover. Now we're going to do lunge non-dominant leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And from here, we're going to rock it back into that reverse lunge. If you need, plant hand on the ground, give you some extra balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And switching it over, other side, make sure your leg stays nice and straight for this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And go ahead and take a seat on the ground. One leg out, other leg in, reach and touch your toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And switch legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And both legs up. Touch both toes, same time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pulling legs in for a butterfly. With this, make sure to try to push your knees down towards the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And go ahead and stand back up. The next few are all going to be just a 5, by the way. Ankles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And wrists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Arm circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And switch directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one, head circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Quick warm up in. So we're going to go ahead, make our on guards. First one's going to be the same as last time. You're going to advance up, retreat back at whatever space you have available to you. You're going to do 3 laps. The first one's going to go slow. Second one, kind of your standard movement pace. And then third, pretty much as quick as you can. All right. Any questions or anything? Cool. All right. Go ahead and go. Especially on the slow one, focus on your technique. Make sure your advances and retreats are looking good. All right, so next one, as we have fencers of various skill levels, and we'll be able to do different things. What I'm going to do is just verbally call out a variety of moves to do, right? Some are going to be really basic, advance, retreat, lunge, that sort of stuff. Some of them probably going to be geared, I guess, since Wilbur's not doing it yet, you're going to be our advanced fencer. So some of this stuff is going to be geared more towards you. I don't think our 3 newer students know flushes yet, or like Lester lunges, that sort of stuff. So Jet, that's probably a little bit more on your end. All right, so go ahead, make an on guard. I'm going to start out demonstrating with you. So if you've forgotten what something looks like, or if you don't know it and want to give it a try, you can copy me. About halfway through, I'll drop out, and then you'll have to do it without the example. All right, go ahead and make your on guard. And advance. Retreat. Extend. Lunge. Recover back. And on guard. Advance. Advance. Retreat. Retreat. Duck. Advance. Retreat. Advance lunge. Retreat. And no worries if you make a mistake. It's not the end of the
Okay.
Retreat. Retreat. Balestra lunge. I don't think a lot of people know this, so no worries. Recover back and on guard. Retreat. Again, if you don't know it, no pressure to do it. Retreat. Advance. Retreat. Advance. Retreat. Lunge. Forwards recovery. Lunge. Recover back and on guard. Retreat. Retreat. Flesh. And back to on guard. Now I'm going to do some without me demonstrating. And advance. Retreat. Advance lunge. And recover back and on guard. Retreat. Duck. Flesh. And again, I realize that's probably only Jet who knows that one. And back to your on guard. Advance. Advance. Retreat. Retreat. Lunge. For recovery. Lunge. And recover back and on guard. And go ahead and rest. Cool. So again, I know I said at least 2, if not 3 things that a lot of you guys probably didn't know yet. No worries, we are going to learn flushes today. Jet, actually, do you know how long you can hang around?
Not really, no.
No, all right, no worries. So one part might be a little slow for you when we're working flushes, but we're going to go ahead and do our workout next. Like I said, Monday, probably not as light of a workout as I maybe thought it was going to be. So today will actually be an actual light workout. All right, so I do apologize if after the Monday workout you're like, oh God, that's a light workout. Maybe got a little bit enthusiastic. So, all right, so today's workout is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be really focusing on fencing specific muscles, mostly looking at your wrist, your forearm, and your bicep. So go ahead and grab your epee. If you have a glove, I recommend using a glove too. If you don't have, or foil, excuse me, also for Rowan, because I know you don't have an epee. Go ahead and grab your blade, I'll say. Scarlett, has your epee come in yet? I know you were waiting on it. It did. Very nice. Excellent. And rowing all these workouts will still be doable with a foil. You'll find they'll be a little bit easier since the foil is lighter, but other than that, shouldn't have any issues. All right, so like I said, all these are going to be working. They're a little bit more precise to fencing, so it's going to be a lot of wrist, a lot of forearm motion here, just to help build that parrying strength. And for our more advanced fencers, once you start getting into flicks and stuff, you'll find that initially a lot of things holding you back from doing flicks repeatedly is just going to be strength, right? You're able, practice your first 2 bouts, you're like, yeah, I'm knocking these flicks out, no problem. Then you get to the tournament and by like, your 9th match of the day, you're like, oh God, they're not working anymore. I'm just smacking people. So yeah, this will help build that. All right, so if you have a relatively low ceiling, as I do, I recommend going down to knees for this, just because no one's going to thank you if you're smacking your ceiling. So for this, you're going to come to your shoulder. You're going to flick it out to an extension. So it's going to come shoulder and extend. And the key on this, twofold. 1, you want it to be quick, right? So you want it to come out nice and fast. And 2, you want to stop it right at that extension. So I'm kind of using my camera as my target here. When I come out, I don't want to let it drop down like this where they can see the top of my arm. So I want it to come out and stop right at the camera. All right, so we're going to do 20 of these, trying to go pretty much as quick as you can. All right, and go ahead and go. And when you're finished, you can take a rest, and no worries if you're taking a little longer than others. Again, with this, try to make that arm downwards motion come pretty quick. I don't know if you can hear it through the mic or not, but you want to kind of have a whooshing sound with your sword when you're making this. It should go. I doubt you can hear it through my mic though, but it's also a really cool sound if you can make it. Give you another 10 seconds or so. Finish up and or rest. All right, this one is going to come laterally. So you're going to start at your back shoulder, going to come across this way. So again, the idea is you want to come fast and you want to stop at this straight ahead. Don't let it drift off to the side. So just from here, straight ahead. All right, so 20 times with that as well. Go ahead and go. Sorry, mistakes happen. Just make sure the one mistake is you smack your phone or laptop screen with it. That will be sad. And again, once you're done, you may rest. Give you another 10 seconds or so. All right. So this one is going to be working wrist, mostly looking at your supination to pronation. If you care about the muscles, it'll be your supinator and your pronator, as well as your brachioradialis, if you care. So the way this one's going to work again, I'm going to go on knees just because I have a fan right here and I don't really want to smack it and break it. So you're going to start out with your blade coming out to your left, your bell guard to your right, and you're just gripping right here against your guard at the fort of your blade. And you're just going to rotate into supination. So now the blade's off to the other side and back over to pronation. So go boom like that. And like with the others, you want to go as quickly as you can without tweaking your wrist. So on this, please don't go too far. If you start coming in like this, it's going to feel real uncomfortable. So you just want to stop it right at about horizontal and back. All right, so to go like that. So we're going to do just 10 of these because they're a little bit harder. And go ahead and go. And again, see if you can get that whooshing sound with this. you should excuse me, you should hopefully start to feel the burn here on your forearm. Excuse me, sorry. Take about another 10 seconds or so. So similar to the last one, but we're reversing it. So blade starts out to the right, bell guard to the left, but again, make sure your hand is in pronation, like so, so palm down. Oh, also, I feel like you probably all know, but in case you don't know, supination is with your palm up, pronation, palm down. All right? Sorry, I probably should have gone over that, just in case you aren't familiar with the terminology. So for this one, you're starting out again in pronation, but with the blade to the right. So you're going to rotate this way and back. So it's going to come underneath with the rotation rather than the last one, which was over the top. Okay? Just changing where the weight goes. So again, it'll be there and back is 1, there and back is 2, like so. All right, so 10 of these, go ahead and go. And as always, when you're done, go ahead and take a rest. I'll be back in like 10 seconds. Got my water again. All right, the last one we're going to do, muscle group you probably wouldn't normally work out, even if you're the type of person who goes to the gym a lot and works out. Probably not something you're working a lot. So we're going to work fingers. So with your blade, the way this is going to work, you're going to start at the very top of your blade. Your goal is to work your hand all the way up so your bell guard is against your fingers. So you're going to go and work it up. There's a number of techniques people like to use. My favorite, 2 fingers over, 2 fingers under, and kind of using like a pinching motion to get it up. Some like to walk it up with their fingers like so. I'm not very good at this one, but if you're good at it, go for it. It kind of just is based on how dexterous your fingers are. I find, have you played piano by any chance, Rowan?
No, I don't, but I play violin.
Okay, yeah. I have had a number of musicians who are particularly good at this one. As I was a singer and did not do any instruments, I always found this one to be exceedingly hard. So if you struggle with it, don't worry, I was in the same boat. So again, you want to work it all the way here, and then you can just reset it by kind of quickly pinching and releasing it. All right, so rather than do this one a certain set of times, because I get the feeling Rowan's going to blow us out of the water with the speed, I'm on the blade.
Hello? Did he lag out? Oh no.
We're frozen.
Oh, there we go.
Am I back?
Yes.
Cool. I don't know what you heard, so I'll just real quick say we're gonna do this for. Okay. We're gonna do this for 45 seconds. Just because everyone's gonna move at a different pace. I get the feeling Rowan's gonna blow us out of the water, in terms of speed. So just go at your own pace as quickly as you can for 45 seconds. All right, everyone ready? And go ahead and go. You will feel this burn in your fingers, which is probably not a place you generally feel muscular burn.
This is weird.
Try the finger way, but I've always been so bad. Yeah, back to the pinching. Five more seconds. And rest. Nice. So yeah, that one's a little bit different, but you'll definitely feel it in the fingers. As a side note, if you're wondering why we're doing that workout, there is actually more finger control in fencing than you might expect. So a lot of the more detailed motions, now we haven't learned disengages yet, but when we learn that, that is very heavily just in the fingers, as well as a lot of point work, just accurately being able to hit the exact target you're looking at. Actually, you relies more on your fingers in terms of both strength and accuracy than you might expect. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the footwork portion for today. So the main thing for today is fleshes. All right. I absolutely love them. I would pretty much say they are probably the most essential attack in epee fencing. This does not apply to foil or saber. They're actually illegal in saber. But in epee fencing, the flesh, pretty much the #1 scoring attack there is. If you watch Olympic, World Cup fencing, you are going to see a butt ton of fleshes. All right, so they're super, super important, and they're super, super effective, even when you're talking just at a very beginner level, all the way up to the very top. So, in case you don't know what a flesh looks like, I will go ahead and demonstrate. Obviously, if you know what a flesh looks like, you don't need it. But so a flesh, I'm going to do 3. I'm going to go slow. I'm going to go kind of a regular pace, and I'm going to go full speed. All right. So slow, like so. More regular pace, and then a full speed flesh. Now, quick note on this. This attack generally travels a fair amount of distance. Be mindful of your space, right? I know everyone's got different space concerns. Some of you might have enough room. You can flesh to your heart's content and have no problems. I suspect many are working in a bedroom where this will not be the case, all right? So fleshing is generally an attack that, while it covers a lot of distance, it actually comes out at about the same distance you would use a lunge. So it is still viable in a small space. So it can still be done. It's just that the runoff from it can take you a little bit. So I like to describe a flesh as somewhere between a sprint and a jump. All right. So breaking it down step by step, let me break it down and then we'll work it together. From my on guard, first thing, we'll take this stuff away later, but first we're going to kind of put our weight onto this front leg. The reason for this front leg is the driving force for the flesh. We're going to extend because we're attacking. So the arm comes out before the legs move. We're going to kind of lean forwards and push off this front leg. Same time, we're going to reach with this back leg for one really big crossing step. Okay? So again, arm, lean forwards, push off the front leg, and reach with the back leg. A good flesh should actually reach your opponent before the back leg touches the ground. All right? Now, when you're starting out, it's probably not going to be the case. But that's kind of where you want to get it to. So I'm going to try to do this without slamming into the wall, but I can pretty much cover the length of my room in that one step. So adjust this ever so slightly. So the ideal is where that back leg carries you all the way to who you're hitting. If you take the little baby steps that I see, like the fleshes that are like, aside from looking ridiculous, they have no power, right? This is all about speed. You want it to just explode out, hit them before they're really able to react, because fleshes are kind of a risk you're taking, right? There's not a lot of recovery from a failed flesh. Generally speaking, if you fail with the flesh, you just keep on running past them to reset the match. You know, lunge, you miss, you can reset and you're right back here to do whatever you need. Flesh, you miss, you're committed, right? So you kind of just gotta get past them. All right, let's all try this together. So get in a position in your room where you have the most room in front of you. You don't really need any space behind you or anything like that. If you've got a lot of room, you can do this with your epee or foil. If you don't have that much room, probably recommend do it without the blade, just so you're not obscuring the wall. All right, so from your on guard, extending, lean forwards. We're trying to put our weight on this front leg. And when I say flesh, push off the front leg, reach with the back leg, and flesh. And let go. And extend. Lean forwards, and flesh. Yeah. As a quick side note, if this helps you think about if you've ever seen like a sprinter start, right? You're starting in a position like this, As you can tell, I'm not a sprinter, so I'm sure my stance is not perfect. But they're starting here, and it's this initial push off into the sprint. You're kind of replicating that, although obviously your hands won't be on the ground. And go ahead and make your on guard. And extend. Lean forwards. Flush. Yeah. Looking good. One more time without me demonstrating. Go ahead and make your on guard. Extend. Lean forwards. Flush. Yeah. So what I'm going to have us do now is I'm just going to say flesh. You're still going to try to think about those 3 steps. As a disclaimer, Jet, if you're still with us, don't worry about the lean forward. I know you can flesh without doing it. Eventually, you're going to want to work away from this lean, right? Because if you're in a match and you go, everyone's like, all right, well, he's going to flesh, right? This is more just to give your brain the idea of putting this weight onto the front leg, all right? And being able to really push off that front leg. So again, I'm going to say just flesh, make sure still extend, lean, and then flesh. Don't skip the steps. On guard. And flesh. Make it big, strong, fast, as much as you can, without plowing into your wall. As explosive as you can. On guard. And flesh. A note with this, by the way, I can't see if you guys are doing it because the cam only covers part of it, but as a note, fleshing is one of the few things that will not end in like a proper fencing position. You don't have to end in an on guard or a lunge or anything like that. If this was an actual bout, you would flesh, let's say I score, I would kind of just take a couple steps to jog it out and then just reset back to my on guard. So you don't have to feel like flesh and back to the on guard. The only reason you would do that is if you flesh, miss, and are still in front of them and can't run past, then yes, you want to be able to reset for the on guard. But don't feel like you have to end in a really nice on guard. Normally, you kind of just jog it out a step or 2. And go ahead on guard. Do like 2 more. And flesh. You got it. Let me see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't second guess yourself, because you had the right position. It looked like you were kind of hesitating.
Yeah.
All right, 1 more. And on guard. Flesh. Good. It's looking better, and I'm seeing more power in people's flashes too, which is very nice. Good job. All right. So what we're gonna do now is kind of just a little like auditory to verbal reaction, just because normally I actually prefer to do this one visually, but in case my screen freezes or if there's a little lag or whatever, it's not going to play well virtually. So we're just going to do it audio and hope that works a little better. So you're going to be stepping continuously. You can do any sort of in place continuous movement. So if you remember last week or Monday, we did the one where it was a simple bounce, a forwards back bounce, and a forward back step. Any of those would be fine for this. You could also simply do an in place like kind of shuffle step, just something that allows you to keep moving. If you're at the point where you're comfortable enough that you do bounce during fencing, I recommend bounce that way. But for our 3 newer fencers, you're probably not at that. So just do something that keeps you active. It can be a bounce, it can be a step, it can be a little forward back motion, whatever it is, keeps you moving. I'm going to call out either lunge, advanced lunge, or flesh. You will then perform that action, recover right away, and get back to on guard. And what I mean by recovering right away, if I'm bouncing and I say lunge, just lunge and come right back. So you're immediately ready for the next one. Obviously, flesh, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get back to ready. And go ahead and make your on guard. And again, I'll do the first few with you so you can use me as a reference if you need, and then I'll drop out and just watch. And go ahead and start bouncing or stepping in place. Lunge. Advanced lunge. And when you get back to your on guard, keep bouncing, keep stepping, whatever it is you're doing. Lunge. Flesh. Advanced lunge. I'm going to drop out, but you guys keep going. Keep stepping or bouncing. And lunge. Advanced lunge. And make sure, Scarlett, recover your arm back to your on guard position. Yeah. And keep stepping, keep bouncing. Flesh. Yeah, a little more hesitation on that one. That's all right. Do just a couple more. Back to your on guard and bouncing or stepping. Advanced lunge. Last one, keep bouncing or keep stepping. Flesh. Yeah. So I can see, especially once we're getting moving and we're getting the other options in there, definitely then the flesh it's a little slower to come than when we're just doing flushes. No worries on that. It is of your basic attacking techniques, the flesh is the most difficult. So if it takes you a little bit to get used to it, no worries. That's totally normal. One quick note I did want to catch on the advanced lunge. So for my advanced lunge, first step is the extension, right? So everyone was extending first, but people were doing what I call the pump, which is when you advance, you pull it back, and then when you lunge, you kind of shove it back out. This is normal because, right, like with a punch or something, obviously you wouldn't hit someone like that. Obviously, if you were to step in, you would step in first and then throw the punch. Extension is a little different though because we don't need a huge amount of force. If you care, the epee is 750 grams of force. Foil is 500 grams of force. That's not very much. If you've ever gotten to work with a weight that tests the weight on your blade, you will know it's not that much, right? So if you're not super keen on your metric conversions, 750 grams is going to be a little over 1.5 pounds. All right, so it's not that much force really that you're hitting with. All right, so you don't need kind of that cock to get the like punching motion. Just be extend, advance, lunge. So once that arm comes out, it'll stay out the whole time. Make sense? Cool. All right. Let us take like a quick minute and a half break, and then we'll jump into our blade work. For the blade work jet, I'm gonna give everyone a more basic blade work, but I'm gonna amend yours so it's a little bit, I'll say for Jet, he's gonna do this just because it's a little bit more engaging for you, Jet, because I know you don't exactly really need the, this is a flesh. Actually, while we're in the lull, how do you feel about flicks, Jet? Like, how confident?
I'm pretty confident with my flicks.
Pretty confident? Okay.
Well, my blade right now is not the greatest one for it, but
I totally understand. For these online classes, I'm using like my old kind of beat up, not very great blade, saving my better ones for hopefully one day in-person fencing. But if you can flick with a stiff bad blade, then flicking with a nice flexible one will be no problem. All right, go ahead and grab your glove if you have it, and your epee or foil. So, what we're going to start with is a new parry, parry number 1. So, the primary usage of parry number 1, at least as a parry, is to defend against the flesh. All right, so 2 reasons for this. 1, it's a great panic parry. Parry number 1, I'll just show it to you. It looks like this. But as you can see, it covers practically the entirety of my body. So if you don't know where they're going, just whip it out. You'll cover about 2/3 of yourself with it. The downside to that, if they're not flushing, is remember with our parry 6 or our parry 8, our tip is right there, right? We're pointing at them. Parry 1, you'll notice my tip pointed right down at the ground, absolutely nowhere near my opponent. This is all right if they're flushing though, because they're coming at you and they're actually going to run past you. Generally speaking, righty versus righty, they're going to run this side. Lefty righty, they might run off to the other side. That becomes more of a personal preference thing from the left-handed fencer usually, but 90 to 95% of the time, they're going to run off to this side to your left. So your parry 1 puts your blade in a position where you can still actually score against the flesh. All right? So with parry 1, again, it is primarily used against the flesh. And I do want to stress this. If you are at normal distance, a lunge distance or something like that, you do not want to be going like this. Maybe you stop the first attack. You have very, very little option of what to do after this. All right, so this is best when you're already very close in a situation that's called infighting. So let's say I'm fencing with you the screen, right? So you're right about this length. This is when parry 1 is great because we're in really close. I can bring my tip up and strike, or they're moving in rapidly on a flash. Cool? So the way parry 1 works, go ahead and make your on guard. You're going to drop your tip first. This is the only parry where I'm going to say, drop your tip, take it off your opponent. So you're going to drop it down like so. The easiest way to think about the next step is if you were wearing a watch on this hand, the dominant hand, check what time it is on the watch. So check here what time it is. Now, you'll notice, obviously, if you put it directly in front of your face as if you were actually checking the time, you can no longer see just about anything. So instead, when you bring it up to check the time, you're going to bring it either above or below, depending on your comfort and your opponent's height. I generally speaking recommend bringing it up high like this. The main time I would say this isn't a great idea is if your opponent is significantly shorter than you. The reason being, you're bringing it up high. If they're already low and they're fleshing low line, your parry might be too high to effectively stop their blade. But most of the time I do recommend going this way as opposed to this way. Otherwise you are cutting off part of your field of view. All right, so again, step by step from your on guard, dropping your tip, and then looking at the time. Cool. So this is the parry itself, the defensive part. The riposte on parry number 1, oftentimes we call this preem, is a little awkward. It's basically you push your tip out this way towards your opponent. This is going to come heavily on your thumb and your wrist, where your thumb's going to kind of push on it and your wrist is going to pivot. All right. So from here, if I'm getting nice and close where you can see my hand, I'm pivoting it like this. And from the tip perspective, if you're watching the tip, it's coming vertical towards my opponent. Again, you're not getting a lot of distance with this. This is maybe 2 feet out in front of me or so, which is why you need them to be coming in on the flesh or already be super close. All right. So rather than having us do step by step, I'm going to have everyone be an on guard. I'll just say parry 1. We'll all get to that position, and I'll say riposte, and we'll try the riposte. All right. Jet, I'd rather have you riposte with a flick for this, simply because A, honestly, it is more effective, and B, it's a little bit harder. And go ahead and make your on guard. And parry 1. And riposte. And back to your on guard. And parry 1. Riposte. And back to your on guard. One more time. Parry 1. Riposte. And back to your on guard. Now, a quick note, this will be, it'll make a lot more sense when you actually have an opponent who's coming at you. Body motion helps this a lot. Because they're fleshing at you, a lot of times you want a little extra to get your target out of the way, or because the riposte doesn't carry you very far, you need to step in a little bit with the riposte. Parry 1 is kind of a full body parry. So if someone's actually fleshing me, I parry 1 like this, where I completely shift to the side, and the easiest way to push through parry 1 is low, down here. So I scoot my butt and my thighs out of the way because that's the easiest way for them to push through. So it looks like this, and when I riposte a lot of times, I give it a little hop in to help my riposte. I don't expect you to do all this at this point, but again, a lot of what we're doing on the online is like kind of keep this in your brain if you can for when you get the chance to fence a real opponent, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. I see what he was going with there. All right, so for right now, you're fine just going like this. Realize in about, it'll probably be a little bit more full body, something like that. Any questions thus far on parry 1? No? All right, so if you've got a target, this next part's going to be a little more interesting. If you don't have a target, it's going to be a little bit more dull, but you can still practice your hits in the air. But if you've got a target, go ahead and grab it. Again, if you don't have a target and you own a mask, easiest way, mask, chair, good to go. If you don't have a target, no worries, especially because I imagine it might be Medette and Scarlet who don't. Since you're our 2 newest fencers, you're probably fine just practicing the air for right now. So we're going to imagine this is our opponent who is fleshing past us, all right? So we're going to be pretty close to our target here. We're imagining, oh, they've come in for a flesh. They're about to go past us. So we're taking our parry 1 first to defend ourselves, and then we're going to try the actual riposte onto a target, all right? My chair happens to be at like the perfect height for this. Generally speaking, when you're making a riposte off the parry 1, you're going to be aiming about stomach, hip, or thigh on your opponent, depending on the height difference between the 2 of you. All right, just because riposting the shoulder doesn't really make a lot of sense because you have to get way up here to be able to make a riposte like that. And I don't really recommend generally ever riposting to like the shin or anything like that. So, also, that freaking hurts. Like getting hit in the shin, not a fun experience, but also just because it's a bad target. So what we're going to do here, I want to practice 1 step in on our parry 1. So with your target, you're going to go just a little ways away. You're going to take parry 1, step in, make the riposte. All right. If you don't have a target, then kind of just pick a spot in space that you're imagining they're going to be. So all I'm going to do is I'll say go, you'll parry 1, step in, make the riposte. And for Jet again, try to make these with the flick. Jet, I don't know. I seem to recall you are also pretty good at the behind the back, which I love, by the way. So if you would like, sorry, this is a quick segment just for Jet. You can make this riposte, instead take it in 6 and make the riposte that way. If you want to get the chance to practice that, go for it. Because it's an awesome technique. So yes, if you guys get the chance to fence in real life, that is like my favorite move in the world, which is the riposte that comes that way. It's super fancy and it's surprisingly effective too. Don't practice that today though. Since we've all been fencing for a very short period of time, we're not going to go there yet. One day, but not yet. All right, so go ahead and make your on guard. Again, I'll say go and try to make it smooth. So try not to have it be step, parry, riposte, right? Try to make this smooth. It can be slow. It can be slow, but where it's kind of this continuous motion. All right, and ready, and go. 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 If you're using a target and you're having trouble hitting it, think about why. Think about how you can change the angle maybe of your wrist, change the height of your post to make it a little bit easier. I can't see if any of you guys are hitting or not, so that might be a useless note, or it might be quite helpful. And on guard. And go. I'm doing a couple behind the backs. Obviously, don't feel like you need to emulate. And ready? And go. And go. Gonna have one more where I can watch. Ready? Go. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. You guys look like you're getting the cover. Obviously, I know at least 2 of you aren't using targets, so you'll not get the full experience on their post. But really, the most important part of this is just defense, right? It is a parry, so it is a defensive technique. First, if they're fleshing you, they kind of have the advantage in the situation. So just saving yourself is sufficient. The riposte is kind of like the icing on the cake. If you can, they're making this big flashy attack, you hit them on it single light, you're kind of like, get wrecked, kid, right? So if you're not quite getting the wrist angle on the riposte, don't worry about it too much. So now we're going to shift gears to the other side. We're now going to be the flesher, the attacker. Again, if you have the target, we are going to use the target for this. If you don't have the target, it's going to be some more practice just in the air. All right, so I'm going to say 6 or 8 and then flesh. So we're going to combine. First, you got to think about what the parry is. So first, remembering which one is 6, which one is 8, right? Then performing the parry correctly, and then fleshing and hitting your target. So if you have the target, you've got the added difficulty of the accuracy of being able to hit what you're aiming at. If you don't have the target, no worries, it's still fairly difficult because you've got the parry and then the flesh added in. Jet, with all these ripostes, go for flicks. So for 6, make it a standard kind of top down. 8, give a go. I realize you can't actually see my target. Give it a go, see if you can get a lateral flick. So when you're taking 8 and coming across this way, so coming out with your flesh, lateral flick on the hit.
Okay.
So a little bit of a challenge. Does anyone have any questions about 6 or 8 before we jump into this?
Can you demonstrate it? Because I think I missed last practice.
Yeah, no worries. So 6 is the one that comes circular underneath. So that's the one, you were here for that one. That was last week, Monday. All right. So that's covering this high line. The one you would have missed on Monday, which, by the way, if you want a more detailed lesson on it, the recording will have the parry 8 stuff. So parry 8 is covering like this leg. So you're going to draw a C again, but it's going to go over and around, and you're going to come underneath. So it's covering this low line like this. So again, if you think about it, drawing a C from the top to the bottom, or if you like to think about it as a clock, from 3 o'clock around to about 6 o'clock, and then over with your wrist. So it's that same kind of circular motion we did with 6, but rather than coming underneath to defend against an attack up here, you're coming over and around to defend an attack down here. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would just need to do it a few times to get a hang of it.
Yeah, no worries. If you want for right now, when I say 8 flesh, don't worry about doing the flesh. Just try the parry and the extension. And then once you feel comfortable, you can throw in the flesh. But for right now, feel free to just do the parry.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Everyone on guard. Again, make sure 3 steps here. Parry, then extend, and then flesh. All right. And on guard. 6 flesh. And back to your on guard. 8 flesh. Six flesh. Six flesh. Eight flesh. Eight flesh. Let me see a few more I can just watch. Go ahead, back to your on guard. 6 flesh. Yeah. Parries look good, flushes look good. See if you can, again, without running into the wall or anything, throw in just a little bit more power. Kind of just a general note. And 8 flesh. Parry looked good, Scarlet, by the way.
Thank
Just make sure you're extending after the parry. But the parry itself looked good.
Okay.
And 8 flesh. I will do one more. 6 flesh. Nice, looks good. I want to throw in an extra compliment, by the way, for Rowan. You did a really good job keeping your wrist out there, which will be really, really important about making sure to keep that blade out there. So nice. Just wanted you did it on more than just that one, but I was like, I want to call attention to it because it was very nice. All right. So, because we've got a little bit more time than I thought we would, I want to go ahead and learn a new set of footwork. Well, won't be new for Jet, but for everyone else, I think it'll be new. So we're going to do crossover. So crossover forward, crossover back. All right. So we've got our advances and retreats, right? And we know that most of the time, pretty much in fencing, that's the footwork we're using. And that is true. Like 95% of the time when you're moving, you're going to do advances and retreats. But sometimes you really just need to haul ass down the strip. And as you probably felt, advancing and retreating is not the quickest way in the world to move. Now, obviously, the more comfortable you get, faster you will get with it, but sometimes it will still feel a little slow. So we have a crossover step. This is more akin to walking, but it was like walking would feel like, oh, I don't know, leg with an injury or something like that. So from our on guard, let me actually turn my cam down a little bit so you can see my feet better.
Oh no. He froze again. Yep.
Pretty well. How about you?
Oh, how are you?
Good.
Nice. Good job. Good job. Good job. I guess to get better with the fletching, would it just be practice? That's all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, he's
Mhm.
gone.
Oh no, he pooped.
Oh, he's back.
Oh no, he back.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that. I have no idea what happened. All of a sudden it was just like, you're not connected to the internet. And I'm like, sorry, I guess I'm not. All right. Going back to it. I'm going to go through it again just because I don't know exactly where I froze and what the last thing you heard was. So, crossover step. From my on guard, I'm going to literally cross my feet over, bringing the back leg up like so. That's a crossover forwards, crossover back, front leg, back leg. All right. So generally speaking, with the advance and retreat, right, the lead or the leg in the direction you're going leads. So if I'm going front leg leads, if I'm going backwards, back leg leads. Crossover is the opposite. So if I'm going forwards, back leg leads. If I'm going backwards, front leg leads. This sounds weird, but it's actually not. It's like if I am walking, right, like so, crossovers is the same thing, but if this leg was facing this way. So it's just a really weird one. Now, you are going to use crossover backs way, way more than you use crossover forwards. The reason being is if I'm crossing forwards and I get here and they attack me, this is a real crap position. You have two options. Go back to where you started, you gain nothing, or try to attack from that position, which is not somewhere you want to be. So you're going to use that one pretty sparingly. The one you're going to use a lot more is the crossover back, right? Because if I'm retreating this distance versus doing a crossover back, I get there way quicker. So this is like they're really pushing you and you were not in a position that you were kind of ready to counterattack or parry or anything like that. And you're like, I just got to get out of here, right? That's when you're going to use the crossover back. you're really not trying to just get out of the way so you can make a counterattack or anything like that. You're fleeing, pretty much. You're like I said, hauling ass back. All right? So go ahead and make our on guards. I see I'm not the only one having connection. Makes me feel better. And we're going to try some crossover forwards first. So crossover forwards, back leg, and then front leg. And now crossover back, front leg, then back leg. Just because of space, I'm going to have us just do one each time because I don't want to run anyone into a wall. So crossover forwards, crossover back. One more set, crossover forwards, back. I'm actually going to have you guys do a couple more sets so I can watch. And crossover forwards, crossover back. Yeah, I can't see Rowan's legs, but everyone else's look good. And Rowan, from your upper body, it looks like you're doing it right. So the biggest thing to avoid on this, which actually no one was doing, so good job, is the tendency to want to square up in the step. Make sure you stay that nice sideways position when you're doing it. But actually, no one made that mistake, so good job. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to call out crossover forwards, crossover back. I might string two together, so make sure you've got enough space that you can kind of do two in a row. But you want to do them quickly. So again, in about, you don't really, it doesn't help you if you cross over back like that, right? Because it's not fast enough to get anywhere. So when we're doing this, if I say crossover forwards, crossover back, like so, try to get there nice and quick so that you take advantage of the speed of that step. And everyone on guard. Crossover forwards. Crossover forwards. Crossover back. Crossover forwards. Crossover back. Crossover back. Crossover forwards. Advance. Retreat. Retreat. Crossover forwards. Retreat. Crossover back. Advance. 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 Crossover back. Advance. Crossover forwards. Retreat. 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 And rest. Nice. So yeah, figured I'd throw you the curveball there of throwing in advances and retreats. In a real bout, realistically, you're not gonna vary them that much. You're like, unless if you're really just trying to like psych your opponent out, there's not a lot of good reason to like just randomly switch between advances and crossovers. You're probably gonna stick with advances and retreat 90 to 95% of the time. Once in a while, throw in crossover steps to either close distance quick, get out of distance quick. The one way I will say that I frequently use the crossover forwards is the very, very beginning of a match. So in case you don't know, if you've seen fencing, you're on a big strip or a piste that's 14 meters long, got a bunch of lines, you got your end lines, your warning lines, your on-guard line, middle line, whole bunch of lines, right? But you both start at an on-guard pretty far from each other. The idea is it's supposed to be far enough to prevent an attack right away. At the higher levels of the Olympics, you will see attacks at the moment the match starts. Those aren't that common though. So generally speaking, you have this little moment where you can take a little bit more space. As you might imagine, having lots of space behind you to run is a good thing, right? Sometimes you mess up and you just need to get the heck out of there. Well, if you only got 2 feet to go, not really going very far. But if you've got, 15 feet, cool. I've got a good distance I can play with, right? So the very beginning of the match, a lot of times it'll be on guard, ready, fence, and I'll just take a crossover because now if they take an advance, I take a crossover, I gain 2 to 3 times the distance they have. That's the one time I'll kind of recommend a crossover for. Yeah, we got 1 minute left. Any questions about anything we did today, whether it be fleshes, parry 1? By the way, I've been calling it parry 1 today for consistency, just because we've learned 6 and 8. Most of the people you meet in fencing are going to call it preem. All right. So the old set of numbering the fencing parries comes from Middle French. It is actually very annoying. If you speak French, it will not help you because if you know any French, like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, 8 is huit in modern French. However, in Middle French, it is octave. Completely different. It's the weird middle point between Latin and modern French. So most people don't use these anymore. Honestly, if a fencing coach insists on using them, he's either French or a snob, or maybe both, because no one really uses those terms anymore. So the only one that kind of has survived is preem. Most people do tend to say preem, and then it'll go parry 2, parry 3, parry 4. So if you are watching a video and they're like, yes, and we're going to preem now, know what that means. And generally speaking, I will use preem going forwards. Just want to use parry 1 today because that way it's a little bit more consistent. Yeah, sorry, I totally derailed. I asked if there was any questions and immediately didn't give a chance for anyone to ask a question. So are there any questions about anything we did today? No? Cool. I see you like the finger workout.
Yeah, I'm getting tested for ADHD, and so like it's a nice little fidget kind of thing I can do.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's the type of thing that, you know, if you're just sitting around, you can totally do, and it will actually help your parries, and especially once we get to disengages, which will actually probably be next week, you will definitely benefit from it. Cool.
Just one quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finger wave.
Yeah, so for the finger workout, are you supposed to go from the bottom here up top or the top to bottom?
Yeah, so start at the top and you're going to try to work it up to the bottom. So because if you start at the bottom, you can kind of just let gravity do the heavy lifting for you.
Easier.
Yeah. So starting at the top, yeah. And as a side note, because Roman makes it look super easy, except for there. But generally speaking, he makes it look super easy. If you struggle with it, don't beat yourself up because I definitely starting out struggled with this. I was like, my fingers they don't work apparently.
Mine's in the same place. I can't move it for some reason. Is it like
Yeah.
What?
So the two main ways people do it are just finger like caterpillaring it like this,
Oh.
or the way I do it is a pinch. So like basically putting it between ring and middle and then using my thumb to kind of pinch it up like this. If you have gloves, I might recommend using gloves. Just your blades are probably in great shape since they're brand new. If you got a little older one, you'll see maybe this one's got some rust on it. You're gonna get it all over your hand. And if it's been really used, it might have nicks. You might cut yourself. For a brand new blade, you're probably fine. If it's been used, I might recommend using like, you can literally use a gardening glove or something just to protect your hand so you don't cut it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Another quick, just because we're on the topic, if you ever want something to do idly, whether you're just bored or you're watching something and your hands want something to do, is just literally hold your arm out at extension. It'll help build that strength to keep it there. Or you can just practice circling one direction or the other. If I'm doing it screen, kind of circle this way, circle that way, get some of your muscle work, or you can even do parries if you want to be a little more involved. But yeah, just kind of idle things that they seem like they wouldn't help, but actually if you do it frequently, you will actually notice a difference. They will make your parries easier. All right, cool. That is our time for today. Any last questions?
No.
Awesome. All right, thank you guys very much for coming. Our next practice will be next week, Monday, same time. All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
GG.